Good day, everybody. I welcome you once again to today's Real Leadership. I want to speak on a very important leadership question, which is, are leaders born or made? Are leaders born or made? That's the topic I want to speak on today, or if you may put it, that is the question I want to answer today. As I go around teaching on leadership, training on leadership, coaching on leadership, having seminars and workshops, this question always come up. As a matter of fact, most times I'm the one that brings it up by myself, because I find out that since the question has been in existence, there's always been two schools of thought. When it comes to leadership, we have this school of thought that believe that leaders are born. We have another school of thought that believe that leaders are made. In my usual way, I don't normally take stand. I allow us to travel on the journey of discovering the answer together. And that is exactly what I want to do today. But before I proceed, I want to make some points clear. I want to establish some facts. Number one, all the two school of thoughts, I want to say they all have valid points. The one that say leaders are made, they have their valid points. The one that said leaders are born, they have their valid points. I'm not teaching to let you know whether I'm defending the group that say leaders are born or defending the group that say leaders are made. My major purpose of teaching on leadership, and also my major purpose of answering this question each time it comes up in my leadership seminars and workshops, is to help both parties of both schools of thought to learn on the way both of us from either of the groups can benefit in answering the question, and of course make our lives better by leading better. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now, the first way to begin to navigate into the question of whether leaders are born or leaders are made is by actually answering the question, what is leadership? What is leadership? I've been a student of leadership for many years now. I've also been a trainer and a coach on leadership for some reasonable years now too. I made a wonderful discovery about the meaning or definition of leadership. My discovery is this: the meaning of leadership is simple, but many have complicated it. And it's because of these complications in the meaning of leadership that have made many people not to relate well with this subject matter of leadership. As a matter of fact, not understanding the meaning of leadership have actually stopped many from becoming the leader they were meant to be. But today we are going to see what I call the ABC definition of leadership. As a teacher or a trainer or a coach, I try to simplify things that are complicated. When complicated things are simplified, people gain understanding. And when people gain understanding about a particular subject, they practically apply that understanding to benefit their life and the life of greater society, and of course to ultimately to the glory of God. Now, what is it that I call the ABC definition or meaning of leadership, or what I call the simplest definition of leadership? As a matter of fact, when I give this definition in some quarters, but some people have come to tell me that they have never seen leadership in that way before. I've actually gone to a place that where everybody knows me as a leadership coach or as a leadership expert. They were expecting for me to give them a very long definition or long meaning of leadership. But when I gave them that simple meaning of leadership, everybody was like, this is it. This is it. And that I'm going to do right away. So what is it that is the simplest definition of leadership, which I called ABC definition of leadership? It is in one word. Wow. I know somebody may have not had it before, that the meaning of leadership is in just one word. You know, in my leadership training, I used to take time to tell people how I derive this one word. And maybe one of these days also I may have the time to do it. But now I just want to give us that one word straight away. The one word that actually defines leadership or explains leadership or conveys the total meaning of leadership is the word influence. The word influence. In other words, leadership simply means influence. I will say it two more times. Leadership simply means influence. I will say it again. Leadership simply means influence. I don't know what you have thought about leadership before now, but I'm telling you, the simplest meaning of leadership is influence. Now, what I do is, instead of me to take too much time to start talking about leadership and leadership, the moment I define leadership as influence, which is actually what it is, and I take more time to actually explain what influence is. I strongly believe that the gateway to understand leadership is the gateway of understanding influence. The moment you understand what influence is, you have understood what leadership is. As I've given you the definition on the meaning of leadership as influence, I'm going to now take my time to take you through of the real meaning of influence. I'm going to show you 7 meanings of influence, and all these 7 meanings of influence simply means 7 meanings of leadership. So as I'm going to define influence, I'm actually also indirectly redefining leadership for you. So follow me as we go. What is influence? Since influence is leadership. Number 1, influence is ability to move people. Influence is ability to move people. Influence is ability to move people. The second meaning of influence is ability to move things. Influence is ability to move things. Maybe I need to give some explanation. I always say this. It takes influence for people to move. It takes influence for things to move. So the ability to move people is influence. The ability to move things is influence. What the third meaning of influence? The third meaning of influence is ability to make things happen. Influence is ability to make things happen. It has been widely said that nothing happens until somebody makes it to happen. And I believe that nothing just happens until something makes it to happen. Influence is ability to make people happen. Influence is ability to make people happen. It will surprise you that many people would have happened if somebody have influenced them to make them happen. In other words, many people are not yet happening because nobody has influenced them sufficiently enough to make them happen. So the moment people are sufficiently influenced, they will happen. So influence is ability also to make things happen. Influence is also ability to make things happen. Influence is ability to make people change. Influence is ability to make people change. Now, nobody likes to change. Everybody likes to talk the way they have been talking. Everybody likes to eat the way they have been eating. Everybody likes to dress the way they have been dressing. Everybody likes to associate with the people that they are associating with. But influence can make people to change from doing any of these things. So influence is ability to make people change. Influence also is ability to make things change. Influence is ability to make things change. Of course, things will remain the way they are until somebody change them. Finally, influence is ability to make people or things follow or change a particular direction. Influence is ability to make people or things follow or change a particular direction. Influence is ability to make people or things follow or change a particular direction. Now, you can see that whatever influence is what leadership is. So if influence ability to make people change, that means leadership is ability to make people change. If influence is ability to make people happen, that means leadership is also ability to make people happen. If influence is ability to make people change a particular direction, leadership is also ability to make people change a particular direction. So whatever influence is what leadership is. Remember, the question we are trying to answer is, are leaders born or made? Are leaders born or made? I want you to start having a thought toward the answer now. Look at people around you now. Just think about anyone you know that cannot do any of these 7 things I listed. If me, I think, and as I move around, I see people from within afar. I associate with people officially, personal ground, religious ground. I discovered that everybody can influence. Everybody can influence. It will shock you that many of us, we started influencing from our mother's womb. Can I shock you? It was the baby that was kicking in the womb that made her mother to take the next action that she took the other day, just by the baby influencing by kicking. Do you know that even when a child is born, everybody awaits to see the first influence of that child? If you have been a place where a baby is born, you will notice that there's an influence that is coming upon everybody, influence of joy. The first influence of joy that the baby has come out, but at this second influence of joy that everybody awaits when a baby is born is the influence of hearing the baby to cry his first cry. That joy is initiated, or that happiness or that excitement that comes upon the people, both the medical team, both the family members that are around when a baby is born. That first excitement comes because the baby cried out. That cry is an influence, and the baby by his cry leads everybody to excitement. That's influence. And if a baby can influence, then I believe everyone can influence. I have not yet answered the question. Let's continue. Now, let me make the points better and clearer. Anybody that ever possesses ability to influence is a leader. Anybody that possesses ability to influence is a leader. Because anyone that possesses this ability to influence can influence even if they refuse to influence. Get it right. If you possess ability to influence, you are a leader. But even if you refuse to influence, it does not stop you from being a leader. I will say it again. If you possess ability to influence, you are a leader. That you refuse to influence does not stop you from being a leader. One of the best players in the whole world is Messi, and everybody knows that the guy is a player. Even if Messi sits down today and refuses to play a particular match today, and he's sitting down, he's still the player we know because he can still play. That is not playing or that he refused to play does not remove the ability to play. So he's still a player because the ability is still there. So the moment anyone possesses the ability to influence. That ability is what makes the person to be a leader. I am still making progress in answering our question. Now, let me still go further in answering that question. Leaders are both born and made. That's my first answer. Don't take stand yet. Just follow me as we are going. Leaders are both born and made. Wow. The reason I say leaders are born, first of all, is because since everybody is born with the ability to influence, and this same ability to influence is what we call ability to lead, then everyone is born a leader. Now, this inborn ability can remain dormant from birth to death. This inborn ability to influence or to lead can remain dormant from birth to death. There are some people, or there are a lot of people, they have lived on this planet Earth. They have died because they never believe that they can be. In fact, they never believe that they were born leaders. And it's a misconception. Real misconception. The reason is this. If everybody is born with ability to lead or ability to influence, that does not really mean that everybody is going to lead well. Get it? That somebody is born with ability to influence or ability to lead does not translate that everybody is going to lead well. Let's get it again. The moment you are born with ability to influence, and I have proved it to you that even while we are in the womb, we are influencing mother or our mothers, influencing them, leading them to take certain actions. And I told you that the day most of us were born, there's excitement that was in the face of everybody around when we influenced them by our first cry. Now, that is a proof that all of us has this ability to influence or ability to lead. Because that first excitement, it was our cry that made it to happen. And if you remember, one of the leadership definitions or influence definitions we gave was influence the ability to make people happen or to make things happen. Now, if you go by this fact that all of us has inborn ability to lead or inborn ability to influence, if you go by it and now relax and actually stop doing anything about that ability, or you stop doing anything to develop that ability, you may actually end up not entering into the list that they can call the list of leaders. Follow me. What point am I trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is that it is in the development of this leadership ability in all of us that makes the real difference in our leadership effectiveness. Everybody is born with leadership ability. In other words, everybody is born a leader. But it is the development of this ability. The development of this ability is what we actually call the making of a leader. I want you to get it. We are born with the ability to lead. In other words, we are all born leaders. But how are we made leaders? It is the development of this leadership ability that I call, or many of the leadership experts actually call, the making of a leader. A leader is made when the leader takes intentional effort to develop that inborn or even acquired leadership abilities. Maybe I need to put it better. Appointment of a leader is not the making of a leader. Yeah, that you are appointed a leader does not actually make you a leader. It's actually an appointment to be a leader. Voting of a leader is not the making of a leader. Your appointment as a leader did not make you a leader. It simply means you have been appointed as a leader. You will possess the title or you will occupy the position. Voting of a leader is not the making of a leader. Then what is the making of the leader? The development of leadership ability in you is the real making of a leader. The development of the leadership ability in you is the real making of a leader. So if you say leaders are born, you are correct. If you also say leaders are made, you are also correct. But what do I say? I have said a lot of what I want to say, but I will still say what I have said again. Leaders are first born, then made. Leaders are first born, then made. I will still say for the last time. Leaders are first born, then made. And don't ever forget, we are all born with the potential leadership abilities, but we are made by the development of those leadership abilities. We are born as leaders with the leadership potentials, but we are made leaders, and I mean real leaders who will influence, who will make things happen, who will make people happen, who will make things change, who will make people change. We become that by the development of those our leadership abilities. Like I said, and don't ever answer this question by either trying to take a stand for the school of thought that say leaders are born, nor the third school of thought that said leaders are made. I answer this question for one reason: to help everyone that hears my answer to make conscious and intentional efforts to become better in their leadership life. And I believe with a few explanation of mine, you have been able to be convinced on the answer as regard to the question that says, are leaders born or made? Thank you, and God bless you. My name remains K.J. Ukairo.